This presentation that I'll talk about ageism is very relevant any day, really, in today's environment. Um, as I was mentioned earlier, for those who were on at the meeting earlier, I I had a potential client this afternoon where we were speaking, and the first thing that came about is that um, ageism raised its ugly head. So we'll talk about it. I have the presentation. We'll go through it. During any time during the presentation, feel free to just, interrupt. Just say, if you have a question, let's do it then. Um, you're welcome to have the slides. All you have to do is, send me a note, and I'll be more than happy to share the slides with you. I put my LinkedIn information in the chat along with my email, and we'll take it from there. So buckle your seatbelts, and let's see what we have over here. And this is what we want to talk about. Okay. I guess we're getting some more people in here. Okay. The items I'm going to talk about here is really, what is ageism? The term is tossed around quite a bit. People have a general perception in their mind what it is, but we'll go through it. I'll talk about the perceptions of ageism in the workplace, the signs that ageism exists, ways companies get rid of older people because of ageism, and the tools that you need to combat ageism. How do you present your age as a strength instead of hiding from it? I believe you should put it out there and show the things that you can do and why. We'll talk about how to find the job today if you feel you're affected by ageism. We'll talk about the types of jobs that currently in demand. As of yesterday, it was published through Indeed, and we'll talk about that. I'll talk about avoiding age discrimination on your resume, and then we'll just wrap it up. Okay. So let's get into it now and talk about what really is ageism. Well, although the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, which is the ADA, it really was enacted by Lyndon Johnson's administration in 1967. Okay, that's when it was passed by Congress. But in spite of that, employment discrimination still exists today. 67. Just think about that. And the discrimination that we have today, according to the federal mandates I have, you can be treated unfairly due to race, national origin, gender, disability, religion, sexual orientation, or age. And that is a wide group of reasons, what possible areas of discrimination. Okay. Now, in 1968, shortly after the passing of the ADEA, Dr. Robert Butler, who at that time was a Columbia grad, he became the founding director of the National Institute of Aging. And he would be talking about ageism, and his definition of ageism is as it's shown here. Ageism is the systematic stereotyping of and discrimination against older people because they are old. Now, if you think about it, they're going to discriminate against you because you are old. Well, the question is, what is old? You tell me. What's the word old? Some people relate to ageism, as they call it, the gray ceiling. Okay. And as you can see from looking at my screen, I qualify. I'm definitely there. I qualify, and I wear it as a badge of honor, let me tell you. Okay. Now, going in there, when you talk about ageism, because what is it? I mean, really, it's old. Well, the question is, what is old? Is it 51? Is it 53, 61, 65, 80, 70? You tell me, what number is old? It's a perception that makes ageism exist. And here are some of the things. And as I go through this, ask yourself, is this me? Does this really relate to me? And if you think you're involved in ageism, let's look at this. Are you less motivated than younger workers? Are you less willing to engage in training? Do you resist change? Are you not healthy? Do you lack energy? Can you no longer adapt to the new technology that's out there? You cannot relate to younger workers. And you cannot work with younger people. You're no longer creative. Think about that. And you're not a loyal employee. And there's one other factor. And this really, if you think about it, how many of you feel that this is you? Just think about it, okay? Is this really you? Because the person on the other side of the desk, this is what they're thinking about you. Most of the time, almost all of these, it's nonsense because it's not you, okay? However, the one piece that is you is this. You demand a higher pay. And a lot of times when they say, you're overqualified, this is what they're looking at. You're looking for a higher pay. So keep this in mind. All these things is perception that people have of you when you're being interviewed, whether you're being looked at, when they consider you old. Okay. Well, I'm going through this, and we'll talk about ways how you have to combat this, okay, to change the perception. As for demanding a higher pay, well, just think about it. You have all this experience that other people do not. So in theory, you should get a higher pay. Okay.
In theory, yes. My experience was that I had worked for the same company for 20 years. I moved up the ladder. The last 3 years that I was there, I was senior vice president, and I was handsomely paid. And the perception in the marketplace was that nobody makes that much money, right? And so I think that, looking back on it, 2020 hindsight is fine. I was pricing myself too high. And I think that one of the things that you need to do, and maybe if I had Marty Latman as a coach, then I would have set my sights more realistically than the executive coach that I had, because the executive coach that I had said, you should be reaching for what you were making before. Well, it wasn't really realistic. So I think setting your sights realistically, and settling for less than you were making before is not a bad strategy. You just don't want to sell yourself completely short, I think.
No, and I would agree with you, Lou. You have to look at it, look what the market is paying, okay, and take it accordingly. I had one individual who wanted me to coach him, and he was laid off of an organization where he was in charge of the SEC reporting for this company. And we started talking, and fairly young individual. And I asked him, well, what salary range are you looking for? He says, well, I was making $750 before bonus. And I said, $750?
Yeah.
And he said, no, let's add a couple of zeros. And I told him, what are you looking for? And he said, I want the same type of job. And I told him, well, just prepare yourself for, a journey to find that will take generally longer than normal people, because there's very few jobs at that type of salary range. But he did, and it took him a while, but he eventually found what he wanted. It wasn't in the local area, but everyone has their choices to make. Let's talk about the signs of ageism, that they do exist in companies today. They only hire younger people when you look at it, and they are promoting mainly younger employees. The training and development opportunities offered are generally offered only to the younger workers. The planning activities that they have, let's call it social gatherings, etc., are generally for younger employees. And this is interesting. The employee handbook that they have talks about all these different discriminations that we talked about before: sexual discrimination, race, religion, etc. But it doesn't talk about age. Okay. And what happens is that the older individual, they become harassed more, or questions are raised more if you're ill, if you're late, if you're absent. Okay. There becomes a keen awareness that, hey, are you healthy? What's going on? And you could get harassed accordingly. Okay. And this is item to look for. Look at the website. And does the website only show younger individuals? Just think about that. You could also look at some of the annual reports that they have, the glossies that they used to produce. Okay, take a look at it. What are the pictures? Are they all younger people? So think about that as you start looking for new positions. So these are some of the signs that exist. There are others, but these are the main ones. Now, companies, in getting rid of older people, because of the ADEA, they can get sued for age discrimination. Well, generally what will happen, the companies have some pretty good lawyers. And so they try to disguise some of these situations in different ways. But one thing they have is job eliminations or layoffs. Okay. And generally when they lay off, who do they lay off? The older worker. And job elimination, what are they doing? They're combining jobs, supposedly, and generally it's the older worker who loses the job. The individual who I was speaking with today, this was her situation. She was working up here in the Northeast. A younger counterpart was working in the Southeast. She worked with the company 17 years, I believe she was saying. And what they've decided now is to eliminate her position, combine it with the person down in the Southeast. Well, let's look 5 months from now and see if they still only have one person doing it or they have two. So let's look at that. People are reprimanded for things everyone else does. So if you're older and you do something, you know, the hammer comes down on you. And if somebody else does, well, they're young, you know, they don't know, etc. Your performance reviews, they used to be stellar. They're not that way any longer. This is getting to be a setup for the hammer to come down on you. That's generally what happens. The companies have retired now or lose your pension. At the same time, they offer early retirement packages. Now you think about this, say, well, how could that be? I could tell you from personal experiences that my wife had. My wife worked for a well-known jeweler. I'll just leave it like that. And this jeweler is known for the different color boxes, or the one color box that they give to people with their gifts. And this is what happened. This company had a typical retailer year end of January 31st. And they generally have a busy season from November through Christmas, and then the returns come in January. And October 15th, she received a letter from the company that basically said that the company is evaluating everyone's position beginning this year. And what they're looking at is they cannot assure that everyone in their current position will continue to have their position at the end of January. However, they are issuing a one-time early retirement package for those people who have been with the company for at least 5 years and are 50 years, 55 or older, or have been with the company, I think it was 10 years, and they were 60 years or older. And this was a one-time package, which you had to say if you wanted it or not by November 1st. 462 people were given that package. 457 people accepted the package. The 5 people who did not, by some strange coincidence, after January 1st, their jobs were eliminated. Okay, so this exists, everybody. Be aware of it. There's a mandatory retirement age. There's a
Marty,
question.
the retire now or lose your pension, is that really something that they can do legally?
That's a question, Lou. It's a question what they have. But what happens, they'll generally say is that, and this is generally in smaller companies that had these situations, that the company's not doing well, we need you to retire now. We don't have enough funding in the pension. So, it's best for you to retire now and you'll still be able to get a piece. Otherwise, we don't know what'll be out there. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. There's a mandatory retirement age that they have, which to me makes no sense, but anyway. Reduction in your job duties and reduction in your hours. Denying promotions or other advancement. Harassment. Okay. Those are the ways that companies generally get rid of individuals at a certain age. And just look back at your career and say, did you experience any of that? What you can do, however, there's ways how to combat this. Okay. And this is really, in my opinion, things we should be doing. Number one, you need to have a positive attitude. Okay. You have to have a powerful elevator pitch. And in your pitch, you want to talk about your major accomplishments and how you have added value to the company. Adding value could be you've saved them X dollars, you have increased efficiency. There are different ways how you have increased value in the organization. And your elevator pitch should enunciate what has happened. Give the examples of where you have saved value, increased value in the organization. You want to have a powerful resume. And in your resume, what you want to show is your major accomplishments, where your employers, where you have increased efficiency, reduced expense, increased value. Okay. And what I recommend on people's resume is that the format I generally use is that the top paragraph is really a summary on who you are, call it the professional profile. And the next paragraph, right underneath that, is major accomplishments. And what I recommend you do is put 4 or 5 bullets of the major accomplishments, not indicating what company you did it at, just that you did it. And then copy that achievement or that accomplishment and paste it under the company where you did it. So it is on your resume twice. And I recommend that for the following reason. In looking at a resume, people look at a resume, you hear the terms, they make a decision on you within 7 seconds. Okay, well, they can't read your resume in 7 seconds. What they do, they look at the top third of your resume. If they have interest, they will continue to read. By putting this up front, okay, you hit them right away with your accomplishments. If you don't have it up front, it might be in one of your companies later on, but they might not read your resume to show the accomplishments. So show it up top without the name of the company. That then increases their curiosity and say, well, this is a great achievement. Where did the person do it? What company? And it encourages them then to read through your resume. Okay. And that's what I do with a powerful resume. You want to have a powerful LinkedIn profile. And that includes a headshot picture, shoulders up. Okay. Not with your sunglasses, not with a bear can, not with a dog or a cat. Okay. And not on your boat or your plane. Okay. a complete, a professional headshot. That's what you want to have. Okay. You want to have a clear focus on what you want to do. You want to show that you're energetic, and you could talk about that. Maybe you run marathons. Okay. Maybe you go hiking. All right. Maybe you're still, involved in sports. Let people know what you do. Okay. And you want to show that you're tech savvy. This is extremely important today, to show that you're tech savvy. And in doing that, there's a couple of things you can do. You could talk about it. Okay, is one, and we'll get on to the other piece that you could do. But you need to be able to do things like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, okay, and some of the large computer systems. You should be aware of them. Additionally, on the social media, you should be aware of the different platforms. I mean, we use Zoom a lot, obviously, but there are other video conferencing. You have Skype, which is probably oldest. You got GoToMeeting. You go Hangout. You got Google now. There's a number of other platforms, and you do not necessarily have to be an expert on those platforms, but you should be familiar with them. You got Microsoft Teams. And what happens is that you really want to know what the different buttons do, because in Zoom, for instance, we have the button for the chat. Well, in GoToMeetings, there's no such button. What they do is that they have like a cloud over there. And if you click on the cloud, that's chat button. So you just want to know where the buttons are and what they do. You want to have a fresh look, okay? Look young, okay? You want to, your hairstyle should be what, today's hairstyle, so to speak. The clothing that you wear should be, what's up to date. I mean, generally what will happen is some people have a rule of thumb. If I haven't worn it in a year and it's still in my closet, I'm going to throw it out. Okay. I have to say I don't abide by that, but I'm close to it. Okay. So be aware of it. And you want to have, certain types of tools available to you that help you show that you're young. And what I mean by that could be a tablet. It could be a Fitbit. It could be an Apple Watch. It could be a Galaxy Watch. It could be a number of different things. Okay. Your cell phone. It's interesting that I guess Samsung is coming back with the flip phone. They're calling it something else, but before that advertisement, if you came into a interview with a flip phone, you got a strange look. Like, tell me how you're going to text on that. Okay, kind of difficult. So think about that. And what you want to do is, and Lou made mention of it up front, you want to look for a reasonable compensation package. What's reasonable now for the position that you're in, and what the companies are paying. Okay. How do you present your age as a strength? Well, here's what you want to do. You want to talk about these things, especially when you have your interviews. Okay. That you're steady and reliable. You show up to work all the time, every day. Okay. They know they could depend upon you to get the job done in the time frame that they require it. Why? You have done it before. Okay. And you should have those stories. I call my PAR-Vs. We talk about the problem at an organization. This is the action I did. this is the result of my action, and I add a V, I call my PAR V. The V is the value of the result from the action to the problem for the company. Okay. You want to show them that you have relevant experience and that you've been battle tested. Those are the examples that you give. These were the problems. This is how I accomplished, fix the issue. And this is what I accomplished for the company. You're being battle tested and having the experience. They don't have to train you for that. Okay. You're there. They don't have to invest it. You want to show them you have a strong work ethic. You know what it takes to get the job done, and that's what you do. You're healthy, you're running, you're hiking, you're into sports, whatever, you're swimming, call whatever you want. You can mentor others. You've done it in the past. You continue to do it in your current jobs, and you look forward in the future for also doing that. You're loyal. You really don't job hop like other people today. And that you're up to date in technology. Once again, you talk the talk and you wear it. Okay?
I think that
you show them that you wear it.
That loyalty piece, not a job hopper. The average student graduating college in the last 10 years will have 14 jobs by the time they are 39 years old. Think about that for a second. Think about that.
It's amazing. Okay.
And nobody on this call thought that they were going to have 14 jobs by the time they were 39. You thought you were going to get a job and you were going to work for the next 40 some odd years, and then you were going to retire.
That's it. Okay, but you no longer get a gold watch. It doesn't happen anymore.
That's
okay?
true.
This is what
That's
you get. Okay. But these are the things you want to look at. Okay. And that you let people know that you're accustomed to working with people in different age groups, different generations. Okay. So that you're familiar with how they work. I mean, the millennials, they get a bad rap. Really, they do. I mean, they come into work at 10 in the morning. They leave for lunch at noontime. They don't come back until 4. Okay. And you say, how the heck did they get the job done? Well, you don't see at 10 o'clock at night when they start doing their work. Okay. So you have to understand how they do the work. So when you look at that, you let them know, people know that you work with other age groups and you know what it's all about. Okay. And also, and this is very important, you have the maturity that enables you to focus on the job at hand. There's no outside distractions. You're not worrying who you're going to date over the weekend comes Wednesday. Okay. You're not going to worry about that anymore. You've been there. You know what it's all about. The job has to get done. And this is what you're going to do. Okay. And you start talking about these things in your interviews. And this is what changes the perception. Okay. Today, how do you find the job today? Well, you want to be positive. That's the most important. Look, negative and depressed people do not get hired. I know the people on this call, we've hired a lot of people in our, careers. How many of you have knowingly hired a negative or depressed person? Okay. Question is, how many people want to work with negative and depressed people? Doesn't happen. So be positive. Look on the bright side. You're going to help improve an organization. You're going to fix their problems. You really love it. That's what you do. Okay. Look your best, be well-groomed, be, in today's environment. Okay. You have, be up to date. Look for young, growing, or startup companies. Now, why? well, look at this. Look at our experience. We know what organizations look like. Even, some of us have even worked is starting up these companies. We know what, the organization has to do to advance. Okay. And the startups and the young companies, they don't have the individuals on board who could do what we could do. All right. And so these are the ones you'll start looking for. Additionally, look for depressed or companies that are relocating. Now you might want to say, why do I want to work for a company that's, losing money or moving? Okay. Well, a couple of things. Number one, when they tell the staff that they're moving, and I'm talking about moving out of state, a lot of people automatically say, uh-oh, I'm not moving down there. I better start looking for another job. And what happens, their emphasis becomes looking for their next position. And the general work they have gets to the side. So these companies need stabilization, people to still run the operation. At the same time, as they relocate, they need people in where they were before to continue working while they build their staff in their new location. And so they need people like you, okay, who could do that. It might be temporary, but you never know. If you do a real good job in these places, okay, they might look and say, listen, why don't you come join us down in this location? I have a friend, and what she's done, she's really good in SEC work. That's her specialty. And one of the large organizations here in New Jersey was moving down to Tampa. And they initially said it's going to take 6 months. Right away, people started leaving them. They didn't want to move down to Tampa. And so they still had to file their SEC reports. And they called upon Barbara to come in, do some work. And they said, well, it's probably going to be only 6 months. And she looked at it, okay. Well, the 6 months move turned into 2-year move. And finally, they got to a point, she was working there all the time up here. They said, why don't you come down here, work for us down in Tampa? And she said, well, with different reasons, she cannot work down there. She wanted to stay here. They had her working up here for another 6 months until she finally said, it's about time you got somebody else to do the work. And then she left. But these companies need people to help stabilize them while they were in the moves. And also you want to look for companies that hire multi-generation personnel, because they need people like us with the experience that we have, the ability we have to work with all different generations. We've been there, we've done that. Okay, they need people with maturity, and they're looking for it. So those are the other type of companies you want to look for. And then what you do, make a list of these target companies. And that's how you start, finding the positions, even though you are older than some of the other people in the workforce. Play up your experience. Talk about your success stories. It's in your elevator pitch. Talk about it, what you do, how you increase value. That's what people want to hear. Okay. And what goes through their mind is saying, Mary Beth saved money at the previous company she was at. If we hire her, she probably could also save us money. Some of the things that we don't even think about, because she's done it before. And that puts you in a different position. Use the current terminology, okay? I said current common language. Watch out for the cliches, okay? Don't talk as, gee, that's an easy thing I could do. It's as easy as slice bread. Well, I know when I was growing up, they didn't have sliced bread. Okay, we had to slice it ourselves. Okay, and then Wonder Bread came through and it was all sliced. Okay, now you say it, it's like, huh? What does that mean? I always get sliced bread. But think about what you talk about. All right. One thing you do have to do, you want to stay current in your profession. What's the latest pronouncement? What's really happening? You want to do that as a professional, no matter what age you are, to stay current, learn. You want to be tech savvy, especially on the Microsoft products. You want to know what they are, okay? You know, look at pivot tables, okay? Also, you know, be part of Twitter. Get a Twitter account. You don't have to tweet. Most people on Twitter who have Twitter accounts, they don't tweet. They look at everybody else, okay? But have one. There's a lot of jobs on Twitter. You could look at those. You know, you got Zoom, you know, the video conferencing that everybody does today. You got Teams, you know, GoToMeeting, etc. Look at those, try to figure out how they work. It's not difficult. You know, look at YouTube videos. YouTube, I found that anything you want to do, if you've never done it before and you want to learn, okay, go to YouTube. You want to learn how to fix a faucet, go to YouTube. Okay. You want to learn how to, you know, work with PowerPoint, go to YouTube. Okay. You'll be able to learn different things quite rapidly. And especially
just please don't list Microsoft Office on your resume.
No.
I can't tell you how many people I tell to strike that from their resumes.
Well,
because it's a given. So
I'll tell you one thing, you know, Microsoft just came out with Windows 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Be hesitant. I installed it for 2 days and I'm still trying to fix what I installed. I uninstalled it. Okay. There are a number of applications today, one being QuickBooks, is not geared for Windows 11. So if you know people who have QuickBooks, tell them not to put on Windows 11. It works havoc. Certain printers cannot work with Windows 11. That's a quick experience. Okay.
Thanks.
Use LinkedIn. Okay. Use LinkedIn a lot. And when you have LinkedIn, make sure you have a complete profile. LinkedIn, thing with LinkedIn, they make changes and they don't tell you. They don't tell you that. All of a sudden you look at it and say, what the heck happened over there? They changed things. So, you know, go on to LinkedIn, use it, learn from it. You want to have a complete profile. That's your, you know, summary of, you know, who you are, what you do, your core competencies, put it in. You want to have on it recommendations. The recommendations are really important, I think, today. That's really your references. You want to have a professional picture. You want to list your, you know, where you get your education. The thing with LinkedIn, your most current position should have an end date, not an end date, an open date, okay? Because what happens, their algorithm, which they have modified on a temporary basis because of COVID. It was before COVID, you definitely had to have your most current position. The end date is really current or present, okay? They've modified that to some extent. If you're not working, you could still, you know, put things on down there with a current date, especially if you're doing volunteer work, put it down and put your end date as current or present. It still helps on the algorithm to get you higher. Okay. You want to have a professional picture, a headshot. You want to have behind your professional picture a banner that might be appropriate to the work you do. If you're in finance, you could go out to the web and find banners for LinkedIn. And you could look at those, and then it's very easy to change them. You might want to have, a calculator behind you. I mean, I have one that I have as a lighthouse, so that you could see the light or what's going on, things of that nature. All right. Consider temporary or part-time employment. It's good for your cash flow. It also could lead to permanent jobs. That's the good side. The negative side, it takes away time from your search. Okay, but at the same time, by doing this, it allows you on, let's say, LinkedIn, to basically have your positions, it's current. Okay. It also allows you to be interactive with a lot of people, which is really important. When you interview with people, interview as if you were a consultant. And what I mean by that, ask the W words. Why? What are you currently doing? Okay. Why has this been done this way? What is your current strategy? Okay. Why are you hiring for this position? Who was in this position prior? Was that person in this position prior promoted or terminated? Ask questions. Try to ask the strategy questions when you're interviewing. Okay. I see that your company is launching a new product. What do you think will be the impact of your market share with the launch of this new product? Think about that.
And I
Use your
think also, Marty, one thing to do is not to just ask the question, right? Make it a conversation and probe a little further. That's interesting. Tell me more. Right?
Exactly.
Can you tell me more? Show that you were interested in it, and that it gives you an ability to control where the conversation is going, and pick out the times when you're going to do something like that, especially if it's going to lead the interviewer towards one of your strengths.
Very good point, Lou. A lot of people make the assumption that when you are going for an interview, the interviewer knows how to interview, and that they've reviewed your resume for a while, and they know a lot of things about it. Okay. Don't make that assumption. Most interviewers outside of HR are not good interviewers. They really don't want to interview you generally. They don't ask you the right questions. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to try to lead those types of conversations. And as I say, they're conversations, not interrogations. Okay. If you get called in for an interview, keep in mind this. If they didn't think that you were qualified for the position, they wouldn't call you in. Why would they call somebody in who they feel is not able to do the job? They don't want to spend that time. So right away, you have to keep in mind that you are being considered for this position because you can do it. Generally, what the tipping point is on this situation, it's how you work with people, how you communicate with them, how likable you are. The likability factor is very important. And what you should have on these conversations is try to have a balance, 50-50. You ask questions, they ask questions, and you have a dialogue. Okay. At the same time, you should be a good listener. Hear what their problems are, and then, speak accordingly. Okay. Use your professional organizations for networking. Use your network of past and present colleagues. Now you might want to say, well, gee, I haven't worked with this person, excuse me, for 20 years. How am I going to contact them? Okay, what am I going to do? What are they doing? Very easy. You could find people today on LinkedIn. You could find them on Google. Send them an email. And in your email, just write something like, you know, I was thinking about you the other day. We haven't chatted in 20 years. I was just wondering, what are you doing? How about we have a conversation and we could update each other on what's going on? It's as simple as that. And generally, they'll accept it and you'll have your conversation. And just as you have gone up the corporate ladder, they too have probably gone up the corporate ladder. You know, if you were both staff accountants when you started, and that's the last time, you know, you met them, you might think they're still staff accountants. No, they go up the ladder like you do. So network with those people, all right? And volunteer. If you can volunteer, there's no gatekeepers, and you're there for the mission, the volunteer mission. So everybody's there on the same page, and you get to meet some really interesting people. You can meet the executives who you want to speak with, who you couldn't before because they have a gatekeeper. So volunteer. And exercise, okay? Exercise is good for the mind, okay? It relieves your stress that you're going through, helps you clarify what you want to do. It helps you focus. And surround yourself with younger people so you get to know what they're doing. You get to hear what they have to say, okay? You get to see what platforms they are working on. And you could see them in, you know, seminars, at the gym, whatever. Get to engage with them. It's really important.
I'd say dress a
Now,
little younger also.
yes,
Not like, you know, super, you know, modern, but if you're, and women have less of a problem with this than men do, you know, but we bought our last suit 10 years ago. Well, guess what? Those real wide lapels, they're not in anymore. And that big fat tie, you know, so take a look, get a copy of GQ or of Esquire magazine and dress appropriately for the time. Invest in a suit, you know, and wear it when you interview, even if you're interviewing remotely. It'll make a difference.
yeah, you get rid of your John Travolta suit. It's no longer appropriate. Don't worry about it, okay? Very, now look, the types of jobs that are available today, that are hiring today, all right? This is hot off the presses. Just went through Indeed. And these are the, you know, I went through it. I said, give me a Google search of the top 25 jobs in demand today. Okay. And this was as of, I think it was October 6th was the date. Okay. And now look at what the top jobs are for today. I'm going to come to that in a second. You got to think about, for you, do you want a small company or medium-sized company? Because I'm not talking about large companies here, because large companies are generally the companies that do a lot of age discrimination. Okay, they're the ones. So stay away from them. Look at the small and medium-sized companies. Will the company be private or public? Think about that. Do you want full-time position or you want a part-time position? One of the things that I do, in addition to coaching and mentoring, I do fractional CFO work. That's what I do. I go into a company, help them strategize. I could also help them from a transactional position on what they have to do. But I'm not there all the time. Be a consultant. You could own your own business or your own store. You could do that if you want. Think about service-related companies. That is what it's all about today. The United States is no longer a manufacturing country. Most jobs, as you'll see shortly, are service-related companies. Okay. You might also think about a non-for-profit. Some of you say, well, not-for-profits, how difficult could that be? Let me tell you something. The problems that for-profit companies have, not-for-profit companies also have. Okay. The thing about not-for-profit generally the salary is lower. Okay. However, the benefits are higher. So there's a trade-off. My background is in, as I talked to a lot of people, I worked for those companies that are for profit, those were not for profit, and those who were for profit who were actually not for profits. Okay. Okay. I worked at one point, one of my positions with the CFO for New Jersey Symphony Orchestra. Okay. Really great. Got to meet a lot of really great, powerful people who were on the board. The salary wasn't the best, but it was very adequate, but the benefits were great. So things to think about. You have the healthcare industry, which today is the hot industry. The green energy is a hot industry. And education is a hot industry. These three are really, they have a lot of positions out there. You might want to look in those areas, okay? And also the technology groups. Technology is here. Every day we get out something new. It's going to be here for a long time, okay? So if you're going to look for a position, I would say look at these four. These are four are really important, okay? Now, the jobs today, this is right from Indeed. Look at these. Home health aide, paralegal, office manager, teacher or tutor, truck driver, operations research analyst, construction worker, health service administrator, travel agent, nurse, medical assistant, physical therapist, personal financial advisor, accountant, bookkeeper, security analyst, that's generally cybersecurity, insurance agent, real estate agent, dental hygienist, bank teller, dietitian or chef, software developer, website developer, project manager, fundraiser. Okay, these are some of the top ones that they have. And if you look at it, a lot of these, when you come down it over here, these here are service-related businesses. Also over here, there's services, okay? That's what we're all about. Truck driver today, I have a client, I'm mentoring the CFO that they have there. You know, you hear about it on TV or you read about it in the paper. Their big problem, they're in logistics business. They don't have enough truck drivers, okay? They've been losing truck drivers every week because the drivers are going somewhere else because someone else wants them at a higher pay. So, you know, the construction industry is coming back, okay? So that's pretty, you know, active right now. You look at it, healthcare, let's look at healthcare. You got health service administrator, you have nurse, medical assistant, physical therapist, Okay, you got dental hygienist. Okay, the dietitian is also in the health business. So just look at this, what you have. Think about it. Okay, so these are some of the jobs that are out there today. How to avoid your discrimination on your resume? Well, there's a couple things. Number of people who have gone to outplacement say that according to the outplacement company, I'm only to show my last 10 to 15 years. Well, I don't agree on that. My position is you want to emphasize the last 10 to 15 years. Okay. Then what you want to do for your prior experience, only list the name of the company and the position. You can, and this is up for debate, put the dates, but just list the company name and the position. Okay, of anything that's greater than 15 years. The reason I say include this, and I would include it under a caption prior experience, is that if I just get a resume where it's only, your last 10 to 15 years, and I see your first position is CFO, you're pretty smart, okay? You must be pretty good if that's your first job. Or if you're senior vice president, boy, you're really, really intelligent over there, unless you know somebody in your mom and pop's place, okay? So right away, there's some questions in my mind. What happened before, okay? I could tell you where I worked before. I've been in the C-suite as a CFO, a CTO, and a COO. In doing that, sometimes I had HR report to me, sometimes I didn't. My specialty is small, medium-sized companies. And what I was is that I was like the last person people would interview with. And they would do it as a courtesy. They said, you're going to meet this guy, Marty, spend a couple minutes with him, blah, blah, blah. And then I'd have people walk into me and say, listen, we got this guy. We want to hire him. I was in the laundry business, the commercial laundry. And if you think that laundry is easy, I'll tell you, I did 400,000 pounds of laundry a night, 365 days a year. And if that's not difficult, think about picking up and delivering laundry to 5 hotels that's in Times Square on New Year's Eve. Then we'll talk about something. But in any event, we're going to hire this guy to run one of our plants. And my head of operations came to me and said, here, Marty, just give him 10 minutes. Just wanted you to meet him. Gave me his resume. I said, John, give me 5 minutes. Let me look at his resume and bring him in. He brought the guy in. I sat down. I spoke with him for about 20 minutes. I escorted him to the door to tell him we'll get back to him. And then John came to see me and said, well, you like the guy? We're going to hire him. I said, John, you're not going to hire him. He says, why not? I said, John, this guy's been incarcerated. Okay. And he said, that's not on his resume. How do you know that? I said, he told me. Okay. Why did he tell? How did he tell me? Because I saw what his first position was. And it was one where you don't start out at that level. And I asked, I said, well, I see, tell me a bit about this position. Now, did you work anywhere before this position? Oh, yeah. Then let's go back further. So if you only show the last 10, 15, and you don't show the prior experience, I think it raises questions. Okay. Highlight your major achievements that are still relevant today. If you achieved something before, that's great. But if it's no longer relevant, meaning it's been replaced a certain way, don't even discuss it. At one of my companies, I was asked to put together 5 computer systems, which would help. We were in the courier business, and to really show what our profit margins were for air delivery, ground delivery, packages, etc. I included in that when I did it, I used what they called, it was just coming out GPS. Nobody knew about that. We talked about it. We put that in to create route structuring. Okay, we did all that. We trained 600 people in 2 months. We did this, it really helped the company see what their profit margins were on different products. That was all great when I did it. State of the art. Today, you could do it on your phone. It's not relevant. Let's not even talk about it. Okay. And I suggest on your resume not to leave off dates, work dates, or college. Okay. College, look, Mary Beth, let me tell you something. Okay. If I don't see a college date, the first thing I know, you're hiding your age. Okay. And in today's environment, anyone on this call, I will bet that within 10 minutes, I will find out everybody's age, because you have already supplied the data out there through the different websites that you've signed up on, social media. It is out there. And all you have to do is look it up. So why put a red flag out there? And at the same time, you might say, well, look, if I do this, I'm not going to get into this company. Okay, well, maybe they're going to still bring me in for an interview. The question I ask you, do you want to work for a company that's going to discriminate against you because of your age? I don't want to waste my time interviewing, preparing, going to the interview, knowing that, okay, they're going to discriminate against me. Everyone has their choices. That's my choice. So we could debate that until the cows come home, so to speak. But I suggest if you don't want to waste your time and you want to be more productive, put your dates on and don't look for, don't work for companies that will discriminate against you because of your age. Okay. List your competencies that are relevant to the position. Okay. And up in this section, I have summary, executive summary, major accomplishments. Right below that, I have core competencies. And those I put in bullets, and based upon the job spec, I'll put in the competency that they need. Okay. But, put in there what they're looking for. When you're going to say, well, that means I'm going to have a resume, different resume for different companies I apply for. Yes. Your resume that you submit should be tailored to the job specs. That means it's not a boilerplate and you keep on changing it for the job. Make it easier for the reader of your resume to see that you are fit for their position. And if they use certain terms, wording about responsibilities or competencies, and you do it, you have that competency and you've done that before, that responsibility, but you have called it something else on your resume, change your resume to mirror the wording that they have. This allows the reviewer who's doing the match to say, boy, that person knows exactly what I'm looking for because those are my words. So have that.
So let me say one thing about resumes, Marty, because
Yep.
you know that Sherry and I co-chair the resume review committee for the FENG. So first thing that I'll say is if you're on this call tonight and you want your resume reviewed, send it to resumereview@thefeng.org. We'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours. We have 50 people standing by to review your resume, and they all subscribe to the things that Marty just said. So highlighting your achievements, use action verbs. And if you don't know what an action verb is, then go to Google and type in action verbs for finance resumes. You'll get a never-ending list of them. don't use words like, don't use passive things like realized savings of $1.5 million in 2 years, right? Slashed expenses that resulted in savings of $1.5 million. That's an action verb that is not passive. Dates, spot on, Marty, right? List all your dates since college, including college. The last thing that you want to do is get called in for an interview and you walk in the door at the age of 55 and they're expecting a 35-year-old or a 40-year-old. Okay. You're an executive. That's why you're in this group. You're expected to be over the age of 50. Okay. If you're my son-in-law, then you're a chief executive officer at the age of 38, but he's an anomaly. It happened for him. God bless him. But that doesn't happen for most people. As far as your competencies are concerned, there's a lot of back and forth. I know Matt does not believe in listing the competencies. I believe in listing them if they differentiate you. And as Marty pointed out, if they fit the bill for the job that you are applying for. So, don't put the obvious ones in there. We all can budget. Okay. We can all close a set of books. Though I couldn't before 6 years ago. And we're all adept at Microsoft Office. Yeah. So list competencies that really will differentiate you from your competition. Enough said. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Lou. Good advice. Another thing you want to do on your resume, use today's email addresses. What I mean by that, stay away from AOL. Okay. Now, some of you still might have AOL address, which is okay. Okay, but don't put it on your resume that way. Create a separate email, let's say from Gmail, just for your job search. Okay. It's really good to be able to control your correspondence that way. The connotation of AOL is that it's old. Okay, and that's why you want to stay away from it on your resume.
And Jane, Yahoo, even Yahoo is a little old.
Yeah.
At this point. I would suggest, like Marty just did, Gmail is probably the most current at this point.
Well, guys, just get your one with your own name on it. It's not hard. They cost like $15. I've got one, the domain name, first name, middle initial, last name. Very easy. And if you want to look tech savvy, stay away from all this stuff that everybody else uses. Have a unique email address. I mean, they're $15 a year. I mean, seriously, it's very easy.
It's real to have the domain names like that. It's really easy. Okay. And, when you say, use names, use part of your name. I mean, I've seen some email addresses on resumes, which was shocking to me. Okay. Hot girl at. Okay. I said, what?
I'd want to hire that one.
Okay. And you see, some of the, look, I don't have a secret decoder ring. Okay. As I call it. And then you see one, okay, your email, MARV526 at Gmail. What the heck is that? Okay. So keep that in mind. Also on your resume, make sure you have your mobile number. And I would list it this way. Forget the parentheses. Okay. Put the ... That's, what people use today. Okay. And show your LinkedIn or your Twitter addresses. Okay. It shows that you're, up to date on technology.
And customize your LinkedIn address.
Yep. Get rid of those numbers at the end, or letters, and that is very easy to do. In the chat, I put my LinkedIn URL, and you see it's just Marty Latman. No numbers or letters or anything else after that. Okay. And, you know, on your resume, avoid the red flag terminologies. 45 years in the industry. Now, let me ask you, what happens in the 46th year? What are you going to do? Put it in 46? Okay. Stay away from that. You know, you can put highly experienced, okay, things in that way. You know, some people put it in seasoned, but you know, I don't look at it as a chef or anything like that. I don't like the word seasoned, but you know, you could do things, but stay away from the number of years. Okay. You just, you know, putting out there, I'm old because of this. Okay. Don't do that. Just to wrap this up now. Okay. Ageism exists today. You got to realize that it's in the marketplace. You got to recognize that ageism, and this is extremely important. Ageism is really a perception. It's a perception of things that are negative about you. You're not energetic. You're outdated. You cannot communicate with younger people. You're not healthy. You want to get a higher salary, things of that nature. Present your age as a strength. Take it head on and tell them all the good things that you do. Okay. They don't have to train you. You've been there, you've done that. They don't have to invest in training, so to speak, on you because you know what to do. You have the maturity, you have the focus, right? Develop your tools that you need, you know, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your elevator pitch, okay? And get your target companies. Select the ones that will be appropriate for you. And look for the positions that you want. Okay, don't settle. Okay, be happy. Find something that you really want to do. Because if you're not happy in the position that you take, you will not be successful in my mind. If you find a position that you are happy at, you don't work a day in your life. I'm telling you. Okay. Examine the different types of jobs that are available to you. ABC, everybody. Always be connecting to new people and always stay connected with people who are currently in your network. Touch them, reach out to them at least once a year. At least once a year. ABP, always be positive and be prepared. Negative and depressed people do not get hired. Opportunities could happen at any time. So you have to be prepared to seize the moment, so to speak, and be able to talk about yourself and show people what kind of value that you add. And last but not least, these two simple words, it depends. These are the two words you should carry with you. I'm saying not only when you're in transition, where you're looking for a job, but in life. Because what happens? Circumstances are unique. They always are. There's something different. And as a result of it, your actions have to work, have to complement the circumstance. What I mean by that, okay? How many pages should your resume be? You tell me, 2 pages? Where is that written? Okay, there's no written, okay? 3
2 or
pages
3.
at the most. 3 pages at the most.
No partial pages.
Okay, no partials, I totally agree. But what you want to do, you know, you want to send accordingly, and your actions that you take are based upon the circumstances that are in front of you. And keep that in mind as you go through your search. And last but not least, everybody, just remember this. You will land as long as you want to land. Okay. Everybody succeeds if you continue at it. I will tell you this, I mentioned it before to another group. You know, going through transition is not an easy thing to do. But you will find out that when you get through transition and you land, you will be a better person. You will know more about yourself. You will know who really are the people who will help you and the people who just say they help you and really don't do anything. Okay. You will know yourself a lot better. You will know your strengths. At the same time, you will know some of your weaknesses that you have to now turn into a strength. This is a learning experience. So learn, embrace the situation. This is really a good time, believe it or not, because you will find a position that really makes you happy, okay, and will make you very successful. And with that, here's my contact information. I'm more than happy to share the slides with you. This is the best email to get me at, martylatman@gmail.com. This is my website where it talks about the services that I do. And here's my LinkedIn profile address, so you could, my URL, so you could, connect with me. And I welcome all connections. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm going to add one thing to what you talked about here, Marty, and that was LinkedIn. And you touched on it, and you said that it's really important to have a good profile, to have a current profile, to have a good banner. I would say that if you are going to spend money on anything, it is your LinkedIn profile. Getting a professional to help you with that is worth the investment that you would make. Recruiters are using LinkedIn more than they're using resumes. Not that the resumes aren't important, they're important, right? But it's LinkedIn that's going to spark their interest in you. They comb it every day. I know that they do. And so you want to have the best possible profile that you can have on LinkedIn.
It's very important, as you say, Lou. LinkedIn, there's over 1.9 million. I'll say it again, over 1.9 million recruiters on LinkedIn. Okay. And what they use what's called the recruiter package. I've used it before. The recruiter package is really powerful on how they find you. And that's why you need a really professionally constructed LinkedIn profile. If you are looking for someone who would work on your profile, please contact me. I have one of the people I work with. She's one of the best at it. She's really, really good. So if you want that and you want to make that investment, let me know and I will connect you there. At the same time, what I suggest you to do, a real good friend of mine is a woman named Melanie Woods. Okay. Melanie has her own recruiting firm down in Houston, Texas. You could find her on LinkedIn, or you go out to the web. I think it's CPS Consulting, I think the name of her company. Melanie Woods, Houston, Texas. Go to her website. At her website, she has a vast amount of reference material that you could look at. That's presentations, YouTube, she has a YouTube channel, etc. That will tell you different things about this whole process, about LinkedIn. She has one where she talks about using the recruiter's package of LinkedIn, and you get to see how it is. One of the things that I had when I was looking at it, one of the companies, they wanted a individual with certain types of background who was only in the Ivy League colleges and graduated between these years. Okay, it's age discrimination, but this is what they wanted. And I could tell you, with the recruiters package, I went through LinkedIn, and within about 5 minutes, I had over 25 possible candidates for that, using Boolean logic, real simple to do, and the fields that the LinkedIn recruiter package has. And that's how they find you. So it is really, really important that you have a powerful LinkedIn profile.